everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Stasia Bliss. Today, this is meant to be a part 2 to Awaken to Love. That's the drop-in I got today upon waking here on this eve of a new moon in Leo. So I'm recording on a Saturday. There's the wind. Got my homemade bubble tea here. There's some almond milk and cashew milk. Let's just kind of tune in for a moment to see where this is going to go. Tune into the heart center. And we're going to imagine opening the heart center with the breath. And just like a mouth opening, just see the heart space, make room, make space. Okay, the first practice I want to give you is I want you to imagine anyone you've ever loved, placing them in your heart space. So that includes family, that includes friends, lovers, partners, children. You know, anyone that you have loved. Now there's some people that you have loved that you are feeling like you don't want to put in there. And I'm going to encourage you to put them there as well. And this visualization transmission begins with this person is part of your expansion of love journey too. This person is part of the expansion of love journey that you're on here. So you can even say to yourself, this person is also part of my journey to expanded love. And see how that feels. And at first you might be like, gah! Or there might be an ache there. We've been taught to avoid the ache, but I want to, with you, befriend the ache. Maybe we'll even call this video Befriending the Ache, if I can remember. So feel the ache, and I want you to cozy up to it, just like it's someone you met in a train station, say, who was crying and you felt compassion, so you went and sat down next to them and started talking. Befriending the ache. Sitting your consciousness down with it, being with it, feeling like, it's okay, I got you. There's a part of you aching and there's a part of you that got you. Higher self, ego self. Ego does not like to feel hurt. But remember, your higher self, your God self, your awakened self, it does not judge. Remember the unity consciousness field, the awakened third eye, it doesn't judge. It's like the judge, but it's more like the judgment card, which we're not quite to in the tarot yet. And I was going to pull out the next card today, but this video wanted to come instead, so we'll save that for tomorrow on the new moon. There's a part that stands again in divine justice, sees the whole picture, understands everything is important to experience in this wholeness project, in this return to oneness, and that some in the physical body is going to feel good, and some in the physical body is going to not feel good. That's the duality here. That's polarity. That's what we came to experience. And our consciousness, the one, the higher field, the unity mind, really our God self, came here to, in my opinion, in my perspective of all these studies, that part of us came here to bring God consciousness into the human experience and divine every part of it. Divine it, spiritualize it, purify it. Purification, we sometimes think means get rid of it, but it really means like bring light into it. Make it better by being with it in your full self. That's a light worker, really. A light worker goes into the dark places, the difficult stuff, and is with it with a glad heart. That's the symbology of Jesus sitting with the sinners. Love, divine nature, sitting with the difficult stuff and making it not so difficult because there's no judgment. There's divine compassion. So when we can do this with these beings that we've loved, that maybe we don't feel like we love anymore, and we can sit with them in divine compassion in our hearts, and breathe into that and say, I love you anyway, even if ... So try that. You can pause the video. I love you anyway, even though ... Write it down. Make a list. Keep going back. I recommend this hand mudra under the heart. You're holding the heart. You're holding the weight. And if you want to do this too, the divine compassion that we're pouring into the heart here. You're writing down, I love you even if ... Even if you left me, even if you betrayed me, even if you hurt me, even if you judged me, even if you called me names, even if you didn't support me, even if you called me bad, even if, all the things. Even if you didn't love me like I loved you. Whatever. You can fill it in with all the things. But divine grace, that is the compassionate heart, that is the awakened love. Because remember, we have lower love, human love, love that isn't really love actually, it's more like attachment. That lower experience of the heart chakra, you can go back to the heart chakra videos and look at stages of awakening heart when we're still feeling jealousy, attachment, possessiveness, easy to anger, attachment, codependency, like this need of I need you to fulfill me and to do the things I need, otherwise I can't give you the love or whatever. Like that's the needy heart. And that's the human love, right? Love, human attachment experience. It's the thing that people that say, I don't ever want to get married again, or I don't ever want to have a relationship again, they mean I never want to have this experience of love that people have told me is love that's actually not really love. The wind agrees. I got no control over the wind. So you have two groups of people running around. You have one group of people running around being like, oh, I want to find my soulmate, I want to find my partner, I want to get married, I want to have love. And they actually are in two categories. They're still having this experience of the human heart love. And then there's two groups of people saying, one is saying, I never want to do that again. Because they never want to do human attachment syndrome again in the guise of love. I guess like you say, there's two groups of people responding to that. Because if you honestly knew that what you wanted was the awakened divine love, you would recognize that what you've had before was never that, unless you've had the awakened love experience. So what you mean is not I don't want to fall in love again, not I don't want to have a partner, or I never want to get married, or any of that. I never want to have codependent human attachment syndrome again. That's what you mean. That's what they mean. But if you knew there was a different experience to be had, and we all do at the core, we all do know that there's another kind of experience around the heart. That's actually what we've all craved, but we didn't have good modeling for it. We didn't have the teaching. We didn't understand the stages of an awakening heart, the stages of self-development. So we couldn't then identify when in a partnership what was going on, and we referred to fairy tales and romance movies to tell us how love was supposed to act. And if it didn't act that way, then, you know, they weren't worthy of us, or we had to get out, or whatever. Like, we've basically been trained about relationship all wrong. So of course people aren't having great experiences. Like, the few that are, they are in tune with or have some kind of guideline. And a lot of that is religious or spiritual. You know, if that's really your go-to jam, then you can use, you know, like the biblical love is not jealous, love is kind, you know, charitable, and all these things. If you truly believe that, then that's a good framework. But if you don't consider yourself religious and you're a spiritual person, there's still this spiritual trapping that's been going on around empowerment. And I'm sorry, but largely in the women. Hate to say it. Where the women get this deva complex. I'm a goddess, I'm a queen, and I can't settle for anyone who's not a king. I just got to call that out for a minute, because you can queen yourself, but then you can be in a relationship and you're a princess again. Because you haven't developed the mature understanding of love, and now you're just being like a whiny, manipulative little princess who doesn't actually know what it means to be a queen yet. Sorry, that's gonna hurt some people. But it's just because of the spiritual maturation process of Kundalini life force. And I mean, it's maybe not your fault, but it sucks when people think they're in an awakened relationship, or they're acting in the guise as if they are, and there's still a lot of that human attachment syndrome going on. And the acting as if you're in a spiritual relationship while still being in a human attachment syndrome scenario is what causes bitterness and people to not want to enter a relationship. Let's just say it like that. So let's relearn. Let's revisit, and if we can hold those people that we've been in relationship with, and, you know, I love you anyway, from a higher vantage point. I understand that you were necessary in my development, in my soul path development. That experience with you was necessary to humble me, first and foremost. That is the most important thing that these negative experiences give to us, and is probably one of the highest qualities you can attain in this life, humility. And you can't go to school for that. You can't study for humility. You can't memorize anything. You can't get a coach to make you humble. I'm sorry, only the difficult life situations, only the heartbreaking romances and the broken relationships and all of those very difficult soul path journeys that relationships offer us, those are, and of course financial things can do this too, but the big tower moments, and we're not to the tower and the tarot talks yet, but a tower moment is when the rug's pulled out from under you and everything's pulled away and life just, you know, you get dropped to your face. That's what creates humility, and that's what opens the crown center, as we've talked about with Dr. Thornton Streeter. If you haven't caught those talks, find those on my channel. They're excellent. But we talk a lot in those talks about how the crown chakra, it's either got pride governing it and therefore it's closed and you're not accessing your true unified field of consciousness, or you have humility. Humility is what opens the gates, guys. And humility in relationship is so crucial. It's what allows for the king-queen archetype to enter in. It's actually the only way that the pineal gland really activates and we're open to higher levels of consciousness is when the 12 main ventricles of the brain, when you're in surrender, when you're in humility, they lay down in the brain. This is actually like the honoring, the 12 disciples and Jesus, if you will. Humility. Nothing brings humility better than relationships in the human attachment syndrome model. If you make it out of one of those and you still, you don't have bitterness in your heart, then you've been growing some humility. If you have bitterness instead, well, I encourage you to revisit it and find some humility that you reaped and that you gained, and actually you're probably a better person if you can get through any bitterness and find the love again and find the self-confidence and find that, yes, I really am worth being in a compassionate, loving relationship with someone who accepts me for who I am, including all my faults, and I can likewise do that for them. In this day and age, it can be tricky because, there's a lot of spiritual people running around there toting that, they got to meet their king or their queen who has it all together and everything already. And we forget that part of the dynamicism and the alchemy of an awakened love relationship is going through difficult times together, alchemizing the old part of the psychology together, and moving into, a more connected relationship. But this requires both people to accept again and again the other person in their totality, in their entire awakening journey, no matter what it looks like. Both people doing that. If both people can keep going back to humility and doing that, there's no stopping you, and that is the awakened love. It's tough. It's tough with all the wounding. It's tough with past traumas and wounds and abuses and all these things. It's tough. It can make you seem like to the world that you're just a pushover. Because, you realize that there's boundaries is a funny thing. And we talked about this with Thornton Streeter yesterday in that talk. That boundaries actually don't exist at the highest spiritual level. Like, we are one interconnected weave of people. And so whenever we're magnetizing someone in, we're highlighting the fact that we are one with this person already. So the things that we're uncomfortable with are things within ourselves to address. And that's sometimes the most difficult thing if it's a really hard thing. And this is where, of course, coaches can be helpful, is helping you navigate those difficult waters of how is this me? How can I learn to love myself in this? How can I stop creating the projection of a certain scenario that doesn't feel good to me? It feels wrong. And it's true that sometimes we have to separate ourselves to really get that. Sometimes we have to separate ourselves from, I'm not saying stay in a place where you're just in a pattern. I'm not saying that. You have to be aware enough, like what you need to do, what kind of space you need to put between you and other people so you can really come back to yourself and really find that self-confidence and that self-love and release the bitterness and anchor again in the unity field and the compassionate heart. And aim now to see a divine reflection of the same. Because we do tend to draw in where we're at. So if we're in a wounded, very wounded, traumatic, lack of self-love place, the people we attract in will be in a similar frequency, whether or not they want to admit it. So, this video is getting on. Not as long as yesterday, but I do love the chats with the brilliant folks. So I hope you get a chance to watch that whole thing yesterday. And I will come back tomorrow with the next tarot archetype. If you have any questions, you want to do a new moon reading for yourself, these are intense energies in this Lionsgate portal, but particularly, you know, we're out of that double Capricorn full moon and we're into this Leo new moon energy. Of course, the sun is in the home sign of Leo, and we're correcting a strange lunation pattern from last month. So there is something profoundly significant about this particular new moon. We are in alignment with the great central sun, with the constellation Sirius, and there is some soul activations going on right now. So I feel the relationship information is really coming through strong in this gate of how to be in divine relationship, divine partnering, how to be in higher love, how to be in the awakened love that this world truly needs. If you want to know more about that on a personal level, if you need to work through some of the past stuff with old people in your life, I love to do that work with you. Reach out to me. My email's below, my website's below. Prices can slide on my site, and for sessions I usually do readings and they're always by donation just to get to know each other. So if you want to do that, please reach out and we'll schedule a time. I'm available over Zoom or text apps if you prefer the audio, you know, back and forth with imagery and stuff like that. So, okay, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. I love you. Thanks for joining. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe, share, and I'll see you again tomorrow for the tarot archetype. Thanks for all your blessings and wishes and love, and see you next time.